Most people think they have a prompting problem. They don't. They have a thinking problem, because when your instructions are unclear, the model doesn't fail. It fills in the gaps, and when it fills in the gaps, it guesses. So if your outputs feel inconsistent, generic, or unreliable, it's not randomness, it's structure. And once you fix the structure, everything changes. Here's the shift. Stop asking the model to figure things out. Start telling it how to think. Most people treat AI like a conversation. Professionals treat it like a system, and systems don't rely on clever phrasing. They rely on repeatable patterns. That's what we're going to break down. Not hacks, not tricks. 5 structural patterns that eliminate guessing. Let me show you what most people are doing. They start with an idea, turn it into a vague prompt, get a generic output, then manually fix it, and repeat. That loop creates frustration because you're doing the thinking instead of designing the system that does it for you. Now compare that to this. You define structure up front. You constrain the output, you make small edits, and then you deploy. The goal is not better answers. The goal is predictable outputs. First pattern, role, goal, constraints. Most prompts skip this, and when they do, the model defaults to generic behavior. So instead of saying, write a marketing plan, you define the terrain. Who is the model acting as? What exactly is the outcome? What are the limits? Example. You're not asking for a plan. You're asking, act as a growth advisor for small creators. Design a 90-day plan, 0 budget, limited time, no partnerships. Now the model doesn't guess. It operates inside a defined environment, and that's the difference. Second pattern, context, task, format. This is where most outputs break down. Because even if the content is right, the structure is wrong. Context defines relevance. Task defines action. Format defines usability. If you skip format, you end up rewriting everything. So instead of saying, give me ideas, you say, here's the situation, here's the job, return the output in this exact structure. Now the result is usable immediately, no cleanup required. Third pattern, scaffolding. This is for complex thinking. Because when you ask for a final answer too quickly, the model compresses its reasoning, which leads to weak decisions. So instead, you force intermediate steps, break the problem down, guide the thinking process. For example, don't ask for pricing, ask for cost structure, customer segments, competitor ranges, then pricing. Now the output is built, not guessed. Fourth pattern, contrast and boundaries. By default, the model explores the widest possible space. That's why outputs feel generic. So you narrow the space. You define what to include and what to avoid. Example, create a landing page, but exclude urgency tactics. Avoid testimonials. Differentiate from typical approaches. Now you're not just guiding content, you're shaping tone and direction. And that's what removes sameness. Fifth pattern, iteration. Most people treat the first output as final. That's a mistake. The first output is a draft. The system becomes powerful when it can evaluate itself. So you run a loop, generate, critique, improve. You tell the model what to look for. Clarity, specificity, differentiation, then refine. Now improvement is built into the process, not something you do manually. Not every task needs all 5 patterns. Here's the rule. Simple tasks, basic structure. Formatting tasks, context plus format. Strategic tasks, scaffolding. Creative tasks, contrast. High-stakes work, everything, plus iteration. The key is match structure to complexity. If your outputs aren't working, it's usually one of 3 issues. Too much narrative, remove fluff, add structure. Too generic, missing constraints or boundaries. Frustration with results, no iteration loop. These are not model problems, they're design problems. Here's the workflow. Define the outcome, choose the structure, add constraints, specify the format, run at least 1 refinement loop, then save what works. That's how you go from prompting to systems. Most people use AI like a tool. A small group uses it like infrastructure. The difference is not intelligence, it's structure. Prompt once, refine, template, scale, and when your outputs stabilize, everything else accelerates. If you want more systems like this, subscribe. Because this channel is not about tools, it's about turning AI from a novelty into real leverage. New episodes break down practical systems for using AI in business, content creation, and decision-making. Without the hype, without the noise. Just clear frameworks you can actually use. So subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.